What archaeologists discovered in Egypt scares the entire world. Tutankhamun's tomb. The tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt's Valley of the Kings is arguably the most famous archaeological discovery ever made. Unearthed in 1922 by a team led by Howard Carter, the tomb was filled with fantastic treasures, including Tutankhamun's death mask, which today is practically an icon. Carter entered the tomb on November 26, 1922. As one's eyes became accustomed to the glimmer of light, the interior of the chamber gradually loomed before one, with its strange and wonderful medley of extraordinary and beautiful objects heaped upon one another. He wrote in his diary as he struggled to describe the wonders he saw that day. The boy king, as Tutankhamun is sometimes called, died in his teens. Analysis of his remains suggests that he suffered from a variety of health problems and used a cane to walk around. He spent much of his rule, circa 1332 BC to 1323 BC, trying to restore Egypt's traditional polytheistic religion, something that had been interrupted when his father, Pharaoh Akhenaten, started a revolution that emphasized the primacy of the Aten, the sun disk. When Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered, it sparked a media frenzy and a rumor that opening the tomb had unleashed a curse. Tomb KV5. In 1955, excavations at KV5 revealed the little-studied tomb was actually the largest ever constructed in the Valley of Kings. Excavations are ongoing, and at last report, archaeologists had found 121 corridors and chambers in the tomb. The researchers said they think more than 150 will eventually be found. Archaeologists found that the tomb was used to bury the sons of Pharaoh Ramses II, reigned 1279 to 1213 BC. At least 6 royal sons are known to have been interred in KV5. Since there are more than 20 representations of sons carved on its walls, there may have been that many sons interred in the tomb, wrote archaeologists from the Theban Mapping Project in a report published on the group's website. Khufu ship. Also known as the Khufu solar boat, this 4,600-year-old cedar boat was owned by King Pharaoh Khufu around 2500 BC. Unintentionally unearthed in 1954 by the Egyptian engineer Kamal el-Malak, the ship was originally found in thousands of pieces. Thanks to the artful hands and hard work of Egyptian restorer Ahmed Youssef Mustafa, the ancient ship was restored to its former glory, taking over 1,200 pieces of cedar wood and 14 years. It's unknown exactly what the ship is for. Some argue it's a vessel to carry the king into the afterlife, while others suggest it was an actual ship that transported the pharaoh to distant lands. Whatever its intention, it's an impressive archaeological find, about 143 feet long. Valley of the Golden Mummies. Situated in the Bahariya Oasis in the Western Desert, the Valley of the Golden Mummies remained untouched for thousands of years, until its discovery in 1996. As it turns out, this massive burial houses over 10,000 mummies, each more beautifully preserved than the last. Discovered by Egyptologist Ahmed Fakhri, the tombs belong to Roman families who settled in Bahariya. Hardly touched by grave robbers, many of the mummies and their treasures remain intact, containing valuables like amulets, golden masks, coins, and pottery. Wait! Before we move on, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to share your love and support by giving it a big thumbs up and subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated of our future uploads. Many gods of ancient Egypt were honored with animal mummies. Like so many other deities and cultures throughout history, the gods of ancient Egypt needed to be pleased by their human devotees. This included prayers and worship, of course, but also required people to make sacrifices to show that they really meant it when they paid homage to a god or goddess. In ancient Egypt, that often meant mummies. Because so many ancient Egyptian gods were associated with animals, the mummies in question were actually votive mummies, National Geographic reports. Like their human counterparts, animals were often carefully wrapped in linen, and some even sported gilded embellishments. They might be cats, baboons, birds, fish, entire gazelles, cows, and even tiny scarab beetles. Cuts of meat might be mummified as well, perhaps to act as food for departed humans in the afterlife. However, not all of these mummy bundles are as they seem. Some contain only a jumble of bones, not a whole animal. They might also be poorly mummified or wrapped, indicating that they were cheap versions of better prepared mummy offerings. Animal votive offerings became so popular that Egyptian priests began to manage a cottage industry of rearing, slaughtering, and mummifying sacred animals. According to Nature, close examinations of animal mummies show that they were purposefully dispatched so they could be embalmed and purchased by worshippers. Tomb curses. You may have already heard of King Tut's curse, the story that anyone who was involved with the 1923 excavation of Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb was doomed to suffering and death ever after. According to history, that's all nonsense. Expedition financier George Herbert, Lord Carnarvon, did indeed die from blood poisoning 2 months after the tomb's discovery, though archaeologist Howard Carter and others involved in the excavation survived for quite a while longer. Though the tale of Tut's curse is largely nonsense, there really are some creepy curses written on the walls of ancient tombs. Thousands of years ago, many Egyptians believed that their mummified body was sacrosanct. Any interference with their remains jeopardized their existence in the afterlife, says National Museum Scotland. Though rare, examples of tomb curses or warnings center on this anxiety. One such inscription tells visitors not to take even a pebble from within the tomb, outside. Beware of forcefully removing this stone from its place. Business Insider reports that similar curses were put there to ward off grave robbers, an unfortunately common problem. In one burial, a vizier named Ankmahor tells trespassers that anything they might do against this, my tomb, the same shall be done to your property. He also threatened to plague them with the fear of seeing ghosts. Screaming Mummy. A mummy known as Man-E was unwrapped in 1886 by the head of the Egyptian Antiquities Service, Gaston Maspero. Man-E was found inside a plain coffin wrapped in sheepskin. Maspero was shocked to find the mummy's hands and feet bound. The most shocking part was that the face was frozen in a way that made it look like the mummy was screaming. Due to the way the face and body were contracted, scientists believe that Man-E might have been poisoned or buried alive. Whatever the cause, the man was definitely in pain when he died. Also, he was not mummified in the traditional way, and still had all his internal organs. Maspero brought forth the theory that the mummy might be Prince Pentawir, the son of Ramses III. Pentawir, along with his brother T, was involved in a conspiracy to murder his father. The conspirators were caught and likely killed. Whomever this mummy may be, his creepy facial expression continues to fascinate people all over the world. Early ancient Egyptian servants might be buried alongside their employers. Serving as a pharaoh had its perks. A member of the royal household, even if they were working at the command of others, might expect a certain level of security and some decent food on a regular basis. Yet, servants in ancient Egypt's first dynasty might have faced a terrible bargain when their king passed on into the afterlife. You see, he didn't want to go alone. So-called retainer sacrifices only appear to have occurred early in ancient Egypt's history, between 3500 to 2900 BCE, according to the strange world of human sacrifice. Some early burials hint that individuals interred were purposefully dismembered, which would have been an odd practice amongst the early people of ancient Egypt. Some funerary complexes of Egyptian kings, like that of Pharaoh Aha, are accompanied by an array of subsidiary graves, often occupied by young men who normally wouldn't have died of natural causes in such numbers and in such orderly fashion. Another king, Ger, rested in a tomb surrounded by more than 300 individual burials, reports the American Society of Overseas Research. The practice seems to have faded from there, with subsequent pharaohs buried with fewer and fewer retainers. King Ka'a was accompanied by 26 chambers, some occupied by individual humans, while others appeared to have been reserved for grave goods, meant for use in the afterlife. So that brings us to the end of our video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to share your views in the comments section below, and until next time, take care and goodbye.